Hi YouTube. So this video, it's not about locks, it's not about hair. Um, it's actually more like a personal issue that I struggle with, and um, I'm sure there are other women and maybe even men that struggle with this problem as well. Um, I just feel like it's something that I just kind of need to get off my chest. So I watched a video last night that was on my Facebook that somebody had liked or something, and it was this very, she wasn't really thick, but she was a fuller figured woman, and she had or has this these two poles in her house, and she was pole dancing, and she moved with such grace and agility that I don't even know if I can do, what she did. And all my life, I have been tiny. I mean, the highest weight I've ever been is 168. Um, and I've never really, saw it as a major big deal, but I've always wanted to be thicker. I have always wanted more hips, more thighs, more butt. Of course, everybody doesn't really, unless you're, a fuller figured, bigger person. Most people don't really have a problem with their upper body. I have no problem with my upper body. I don't really like my stomach, but I can get past that if I can just get the hips, the thighs, and the booty, you know. Um, but I've never been able to, to get that, And most of the women in my family are thick women, Of course, all of them also have children. Um, so I'm under the impression that my thickness will kick in after I have a baby. I'm not pregnant. um, Lord knows I wish I was, but I'm not. So I guess technically I'm about to kill two birds with one stone. Um, First issue is, like I said, I'm small and I'd like to be thicker. Um, I know that a lot of it is because of my body structure, and I think that plays a major role in how your body's gonna be, in life. I'm really tall. I'm really slender. I'll go ahead and stand up. Um, I've always been. You actually can't see me. I've always been tall and small. That's about all I can tell you. But yeah, I'm standing on my tippy toes so y'all can kind of see. You know, I'm I'm not a big person. I'm little, and I always have been, and it's just it's just how my body is. And I'd like to be able to change that, but I mean, I don't know how to get thick. And it's not that I don't eat, because I do. I think partially what my issue is because I want to be healthy. I don't eat unhealthy, which is not. It's weird because I do eat a moderate amount of sweets, but um, I walk a lot, and I try not to stay too terribly idle. And when I do cook meals, they're usually with lean meats and vegetables and stuff like that. Majority, the majority part, for the most part, my diet consists of mainly protein and sugar. So there's not a whole lot of fat in my diet, and that's partially because of, Ghost Shadow with him being diabetic, and me just, wanting to live a healthier lifestyle. That doesn't mean that I don't want certain fatty foods. There is, occasionally we will, treat ourselves to something that we're not supposed to have. Um, so there's that, and I'm trying to not dwell on that so much because I am who I am, you know, and my body is the way that it is, and I figured once I get to a certain point in my life, my metabolism will start to slow down some, and I will start to pick on some weight, and maybe hopefully at that point I'll have gotten into such a routine to where I can maintain that weight in a healthy way. um, but on to the next subject, which is the babies. um, Ooh, this is something that I have struggled with for a long time, and I'm still struggling with it. I, when I was a kid, you could not hand me a baby. You could not ask me to babysit. I didn't like children. I didn't want them around me. They aggravated me. They pissed me off. I couldn't take it. It wasn't my thing. Well, as I got a little bit older, um, battling with some self-esteem issues and um, self uh, I guess I'll just leave it at self-esteem issues. I wanted a baby, and for the longest time, um, I tried, you know, and um, it's it's emotionally and mentally, I don't know the right word, damaging is the only thing that I can think of, to get that disappointment um, when you take that pregnancy test, and you're crossing your fingers and you're hoping for the best, and each time it's negative. And then I look at where I am in my life now. I may not be in the best of situations, but one thing I can say is, if I don't have a dime to my name, if I don't have a shirt on my back, if I had a child, my child would not want for anything. And that is a promise. But I keep trying to tell myself that it's not my time, it's not my turn, um, I'm not ready. God, hasn't seen fit for me to become a parent just yet. And it's hard. It's hard. I'm 23 now. I'll be 24 this year. It's hard for me because I'm gonna say about 97% of the women that I know from childhood to now has at least one kid, or is currently pregnant. There's maybe a very small handful of women that I know that don't have children. And majority of those don't have children because they don't want children. Um, or because they're taking steps to not get pregnant. Um, it almost at times feels like an obsession, because it hurts so bad to know that there are women out there who are strung out on drugs, pregnant and strung out on drugs. And they can have babies. You know, there are women who can't tell up from down, but they can have babies. There are people who cannot take care of themselves and won't take care of the children that they already have, but they can have babies. There are even people with disabilities, as if their struggle isn't already a challenge. They have babies. So now, I don't want anybody to take those examples that I just used. I don't want you to take those the wrong way. I have nothing against any of those women. As a matter of fact, I commend them. If a woman that's strung out on drugs can clean herself up and take care of her child, I commend her for being able to go through her struggle and come out on top. A woman that has a disability that can still maintain handling her disability on top of motherhood, I commend her, because it takes a strong person to be able to say, I can do this, and I'm not going to let anything stand in my way of doing this. But when I see people that won't take care of the kids they already have, being irresponsible, like instead of paying your bills, you would rather go hang out with your friends and get high in front of your child and waste all of your money on getting your nails done, your feet done, your car note paid, and all of that bull crap, instead of making sure that your child has a roof over their head and pampers and going to the doctor. There's this one young lady, I won't say her name because I won't say her name, but she has 2 sons. She was a former addict. She cleaned up her act. Her first child, she was still addicted while she was pregnant with him. So now, a few years later, she doesn't want to have anything to do with him because he reminds her of when she was addicted. How is that his problem? How is that his fault? You chose to make that decision. You chose to do that to him. So, in my opinion, you should own up to that. And that's not fair to that little boy to feel like he did something wrong because his mother chose to get high while she was pregnant with him. The second child came. Mind you, she doesn't have any birth certificates for her children. She doesn't have their social security card. She doesn't have WIC for them. She doesn't get food stamps for them. And it's all because she is just too lazy to get up and go out and get these things. She has all of these resources available to her. Not for her. Not for her. To take care of her children. And she chooses not to because she's just plain old lazy. She won't work. She won't get a job. She won't do the things that are needed to take care of her family. She would rather pay cash for her food than to go down to DHS and get food stamps for her children. I'm sorry, I get food stamps. It ain't a lot because I just got this different job and they cut my food stamps drastically. I mean, I went from $200 to $85, but it's okay because it'll work out the way it's supposed to. I'm not worried about that. But what I'm saying is, there was one time that something went wrong with my card. I had put the PIN code in. If you put it in wrong 3 times, they lock you out and you have to call them and reset your password. Well, I had messed around and did that. I had to pay $35 cash for my food. Do you know how pissed off I was? I was so mad. This chick, we're talking about $200-300 cash for food, when you can go down to DHS and you can go down and get you some WIC and you can probably get way more than that in food stamps, on top of it being tax-free. That I don't understand. And these are the women that frustrate me. Because when you have everything, when I say everything, I mean everything. The house, the good man, the family that supports you, everybody that wants to be on your side, that wants to do for you, the car, you're getting everything handed to you, hand over fist, and you still won't do nothing for yourself. I am not a dependent person. I will not rely on somebody else to do anything for me. Why? Because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do it. And I don't like that. I don't like having to feel like I got to wait for somebody to do something for me that I know that I can probably do on my own. Now, there are times that I do need help. But, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Anyways, my point is, sometimes I feel like God is punishing me for something. Or I feel like He's mad at me. Like I did something wrong. It's hard for me to not feel that way when there are so many women out there who are so undeserving of these blessings that they continuously get. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of women out there who are playing roles of mother and father, and they putting their thing down, working 2 or 3 jobs, doing what they got to do to provide for their kids. But then there are other women who are just completely mooching off of welfare, and they continuously have kids just to stay on welfare and get more welfare. And they don't do nothing. All they want the kids for is a paycheck from their baby daddy. And it saddens me. It saddens me because we're so much better than that. You know? We're so much more than that. Another thing that makes it difficult for me is that if a woman doesn't know how to do anything else in this life, the one thing that she should be able to do is give life. And if I can't do that, that makes me feel less of a woman. And that hurts, you know, because in my eyes, being a mother is one of it's one of two it's two things. It's the most vital and probably prominent moment in a woman's life, and it's also the picture, the image of femininity. So it's hard for me because, I mean, I'm already kind of tomboyish. All I like to wear is t-shirts, sweats, and blue jeans, tennis shoes. I have to really be in the mood to wear a dress or a skirt or heels. I have to really want to wear makeup. So in a way, I'm already kind of boyish. I actually had a lady in Walmart, you know, she was talking to the lady at the window, and she goes, "No, I'll be fine. Go ahead and help him." I asked the lady at the window, I'm like, "Do I really look like a boy?" Of course, I have on this black hoodie, and I always wear sports bras because they're more comfortable for me. And then I have this leather biker jacket and these, you know, blue jeans that are too big for me now because I've lost so much weight. So I can imagine why she would think I was a boy, but I don't think I look like a boy. Not that I really care, because I know I'm not a boy. Anyways, I think I said everything that I wanted to say. I think I got it all out. Just, I don't know. Bye, YouTube.